everybody! Welcome to Beach Theory. Sorry, I had to do my game theory voice.
Oh.
Matt Pat. Welcome to Game Theory. Welcome to Beach Theory. So today we have a great episode for you. Season 2, this episode 5.
Episode 5.
I want to tell you guys a story.
About a man named Jed.
Something.
Yeah, keep his family fed.
So after my 4th grade year, it was after my 3rd grade year in elementary school. I remember it was in 1986, so I was almost 10. I was 9 years old. My family took a road trip across the United States of America. From Florida, we drove all the way up to Oregon, and then we drove back down to Florida. It was really fun.
That's pretty incredible. How long did it take? I
think we were gone for 3 weeks.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, it was in the middle of the summer. It was probably July or something.
Okay.
And I don't remember a lot about it. But
you have family videos.
We have a lot of family videos, yeah. I remember a few things, though. I remember my mom bought me this President's book.
Isn't that when you put the gum in Marshall's hair?
That, I think, was I think I put the gum in Marshall's hair in our trip in the year 2000. We took another road trip up the East Coast, up to Maine, and then back down.
We talked about that in our last episode if you haven't seen it.
But no, in this trip, I was a lot younger. I remember my mom was actually pregnant with Jessica.
Okay.
She was
just Johnny.
She was 5 months pregnant with Jessica. Johnny was a baby. And then it was all of us other kids. And actually, I think Melanie and Missy weren't with us. I think Melissa and Melanie actually were with Mark, my real dad, in Utah, visiting him for the summer. And so I think we left on the trip, and it was me, Matthew, Marshall, Johnny. And
4 boys.
Just the 4 of us drove up.
I've seen pictures of this now. I know. I think, didn't you go through Missouri or somewhere where you took some pictures with some statues or something?
Probably.
Because I swear I've seen those pictures.
Probably.
Okay.
I remember we stopped.
Full 90s garb.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't be wearing anything else. So.
I don't remember anything along the way up, except I remember we stopped in Utah to go to the Manti pageant.
Oh. So interesting.
Yeah, because Melissa and Melanie were in the Manti pageant.
Because they were with family.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Mormon Miracle pageant in
Manti, Utah.
In Manti, Utah. You've been in that a few times.
Oh, I did it every summer of my teenage years.
Yeah. So
that I can remember. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember staying, I think, a night in Manti with my grandma and grandpa Beach. And looking back, I'm like, I wonder what my mom and dad were doing while we were there. I don't remember them being around, but I remember going to the Manti pageant. And Melanie was an angel, I think. And I
thought, okay, you said it like this. We stayed the night at my grandparents' house, and I remember thinking, I wonder what my parents are doing right now.
No.
That's what I was thinking.
Nope. I did not think that as a kid. I'm thinking it now as an adult.
No, I'm saying.
That's what it sounded like.
Timing-wise, that night, what were they doing at night?
No.
In a different room. That's what it sounded like to me.
That's not what I meant at all. No.
But they weren't at your grandparents' house.
I don't remember them being there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what they were doing.
I wonder if our kids think the same thing when we're literally in the same house with them, but they're playing with their cousins and completely entertained and away from us. If they're like, where are my parents? I don't care.
Well, as a kid, I don't remember thinking twice. Yeah. And I probably knew where they were.
Yeah.
I probably have just forgotten.
Totally.
But I remember Melanie was an angel in the pageant, and Missy was a Lamanite.
I never was a Lamanite.
And I remember my Uncle Phil was with my sisters in the pageant, and he was also a Lamanite.
Okay. That's so interesting.
Yeah. And I remember going to the pageant, and I remember seeing my biological father. I remember seeing him there, and we kind of hung out with him that evening. And then continuing after that, picking up Missy and Melanie with us, going all the rest of the way to Oregon. And then staying like a couple days or a week in Oregon, which is where my mom is from, which is where her parents are and all of her brothers and sisters are. So like spending basically a few days or a week with all the family in Oregon. Like as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, man, that trip was not as cool as I remember it. Just maybe it's because we've been on all these trips.
Totally.
Like you and me, and we've traveled so much and done so many things. It's like
my favorite trip I think that we've ever been on was, well, the mystery trip was pretty awesome.
Last summer.
Especially ending with Disneyland, and I'd never been before, so that was...
Well, just like looking back, like
I guess I had been before.
I remember this road trip. I remember it being like really fun, really cool, like huge deal. But now I'm looking back and I'm like, wow, I don't remember like anything from the drive up. I remember having fun in Oregon for a couple days.
Yeah.
And then I remember hitting Mount Rushmore. Oh, we hit the Grand Canyon on the drive up.
Oh, okay.
I do remember the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And that was really... And
Have you still never been?
We've still never been there. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But I remember doing the Grand Canyon, and I remember like walking up to the edge and Mom being like, get away from the edge, you know, like, because it's just...
That's terrifying.
It's a cliff, you know?
It's terrifying.
And I remember being like really scared. And then on the way home, I remember we did Mount Rushmore and got a picture in front of Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
But like, for that type of a trip to only take 3 weeks, we probably drove straight.
Yeah, that's probably
both
why you
ways.
don't remember it. You blocked it from your memory because of all the fighting and screaming.
No, like I remember it being really cool, really
Yeah.
fun, like really amazing. But now I'm like, wow, we just basically
what are our kids gonna
drove
remember?
straight through. I know. What are they going to remember?
It's going to be really interesting.
That's going to be
Like,
really weird.
I bet the things that we want them to remember, they're gonna be like, nah, I don't even remember that. But the stuff that like
They're gonna remember
like
weird
everybody picks
things,
up different things.
like playing in the back seat and doing like because
Yeah.
for this summer road trip, I remember we had a 11-seater van, which is the same size of van that we have right now.
Yeah.
And I remember
12-seater.
a 12, yeah, whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11-seater. Ours is a 12-seater.
Oh, okay.
The one I had when we took the trip was an 11-seater.
Okay.
But we took the middle row of seats, so it had the driver and passenger seat. It had a row, and then it had nothing, and we put a bed on the floor, and then it had a back row. And so the bed, so my mom could lay down. She was pregnant.
It was not so regulated, by the way, with seatbelts back in the day. Like,
this was 20 years ago.
I mean,
like 23.
I remember my mom and dad saying, "This is so much. Like, we're gonna get arrested if you're not." Like, it was literally when they were kids, no seatbelts. Like they didn't even have seatbelts sometimes in some of the cars.
It was the law back then, just as much as it is now.
Oh, it's way more enforced here in Utah than it was back then.
I remember it being just as serious then as it is now.
Utah is 10 years behind Florida almost always.
I just remember we didn't care.
Oh, I remember when they started coming out with Click It or Ticket.
No.
That was a big deal.
I remember that when I was a kid from the same time.
But before that, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Maybe. Either way, I think my dad just doesn't care.
We did live in different lives, different states.
You and I had different upbringings, that's for sure. But my dad, even to this day, like never buckles up. He hates it.
Oh, yeah.
Like the little dinger in the car will ding, 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 telling him to buckle, and he'll just ignore it until it stops dinging. And I'm not kidding. Like
I know.
And so I'm not surprised that he's like, whatever, there's a bed, go lay down in the bed. And, when we're in the RV driving around.
Oh, yeah, the RV.
We'll walk around.
It's like,
but
because it's so old, it's also goes along with the old rules. Because, like, it really does.
No, it doesn't. Not legally.
Not legally, but, like, it's built a certain way.
Right.
Like you don't have the strap on the top in the RV, actually. Right.
Dude,
it just goes on
those seatbelts in the RV aren't going to do crap.
Oh, my goodness.
The
whole RV is, if it got in an accident, it would be... Oh.
Like the seat right here.
I'm sure they do a lot more for safety things
with the
nowadays.
2 seat belts on the big seat bench.
Yeah.
Like if you got in a crash, you're just gonna conk heads with the person next to you. Like there's no safety there.
It's weird because it has seat belts there, and it also has a sign that says "Don't use these while driving." I'm so confused in the RV, but whatever. It has seat belts. We're good.
I'm a safe driver. We haven't had any problems. Yeah. That's why we
and
pray
it does have seat belts
before we drive.
That's why we pray.
But we took a trip with our 12-seater van, and we took out one of the rows of seats and put in a bed once.
Yeah,
Do you
because
remember that?
my dad was going to be there, and in order to make the trip at all, we had to have a place for him to lay
And that
down.
worked.
It did. Yeah.
It was not legal.
Shh.
Oh, dear.
Gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
That's right.
Oh,
So
times.
I think that's the extent of my trip. Now that I'm like...
You're like, I have so much... Wait, I don't have that much
I'm trying to remember more
It wasn't
about
that
it.
exciting.
And that's like all I remember.
Okay, the extent of my trips growing up were family reunion campouts or
At Bear Lake.
and occasionally a camp out, but we didn't really have a lot to even do that. So when we went to camp out, it was like we didn't have the right stuff.
Yeah.
And I think everybody, including my parents, were too uncomfortable. So it really only happened maybe twice growing up.
The whole
and
time.
the whole time growing up. And like, I still, even me saying that, I feel like I know there were a couple times, but I don't remember them.
Oh, yeah.
So like, I think must have been when I was really young that we went. And then beyond that, once you start getting 9 kids, it's like you have to have a gigantor tent or 5 tents. And like
when parents are young and they have a few kids, they're ambitious and they want to do camping, and then they're like, I'm never doing that again.
That was a mistake.
Because it's just
everybody was miserable.
It's a nightmare.
I mean, and it also depends on your family dynamic. But
Right.
I think with 9 kids,
I think if you did it often enough,
Yeah.
and everybody
It's a
knew
normal thing.
boundaries, like
Totally. Well, it's just
it'd
like
probably
us
be
in the
better.
RV.
Right.
Like the first week was horrible.
Right.
It was so hard, and we were all up in each other's grill all day, and it was just really difficult to find your own space, your own groove, including the kids. They need their own space too, and it was really hard. But
Yeah.
after about the first week, we kind of all got into a groove, and we're like, okay, I think we can do this.
And we
then it
got
became
along.
very
It was
enjoyable.
really fun, yeah.
I think one of the best things was just being in the same room with the kids. It was like they never really got away with hurting each other or like things that they normally would
There
in
was
a
no
bigger house.
Yeah.
Just because it was like we heard it all. We
Yeah.
knew exactly what was going on all the time. There was
Yeah.
no misunderstandings because of that.
There was no lying. There was no sneaking around and stealing. Like all the things that they do now that are bad, they could not do during that trip because we were so close.
Yeah, and they're not bad kids. They just are kids.
I said things that they did that were bad. I didn't say being bad or that they are bad.
Good.
They're just like any kids.
They are.
They're the
just
same
kids.
as you and me when we were kids.
Oh,
Just
they're better than us, I think. We
maybe
were
better than you.
definitely better than you.
You're really cute.
I was a good kid. I might have had some spitfire, but I was a good
I
kid.
thought you were going to say that was a good comeback. So,
Oh yeah,
1996.
So 1996.
What were you doing?
So 1996. By 1996, we talked about in the last episode how we moved, or in the episode before last, but about how my parents moved. We all moved into a house in Spanish Fork that was a rental, and I remember that my first day of school. I was so excited the night before, and I did the exact same thing as you. I would get like stomach pain, and I would feel like I'm gonna throw up because I was so excited and so nervous. It was always before field trips and like first day of school. Anything that was like new and exciting scared me to death, but I was also so excited. It was like scary and so exciting, mostly exciting. But we had the first day of school coming up, and it was first grade for me, and I had gotten a new outfit, and I thought it was so cute. It was like this little pleated
It probably
skirt.
was very
It was
cute.
very cute. Trust me, it was very cute. But I was so excited that I was like, Mom, can I wear my outfit to bed? And she was like, okay. or something. I think I might have put it on myself. And then my mom came in and was like, what are you doing? Get some PJs on. It'll be all wrinkly tomorrow if you're sleeping in it or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, but I'm so excited. I just want to be ready. I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to be late,
Yeah.
Elementary school for me, I slept in my clothes the night before, and I was so excited. I didn't want to miss school. But I remember it was so funny that you're afraid of bugs, because I would pick up worms and throw them at people in elementary school. I remember doing that.
Would it make people upset?
Yes, it was a little boy. I was like, oh, I'm a girl and I'm not afraid of bugs. And he's like, I'm afraid of bugs. And I remember being like, hee, and throwing a worm at them.
Pure evil. Nothing's changed.
And then I remember Ryan got his hair cut. He wanted a bald head. So my mom was in the middle of giving him a bald head, but she thought it would be funny just to chop off the top of his hair like an old man, where they just lose hair on the top and leave it on the sides. And Ryan was he was like super confident back in the day, and was
back before
like,
he was crushed too many times
by girls being mean to him
that he left.
Oh, anyways, he wore it to school. He's like, I want to wear this to school tomorrow. And my mom and dad are like, that's not a good idea. That's not a good idea. And he's like, I want to go. I want to do it. So he did. And I snuck up behind him when he was talking to the girl he liked, and I ripped it off of his head, hat. Oh, he had a hat.
You're leaving a lot out of the story.
I know. I'm speeding through it because Ryan takes 20 years.
But it's so much better when Ryan tells it. So he goes to school, and he's like, oh, no. It's not until he gets to school that he realizes this was a mistake. That he's like bald on the top, and he still has hair around the backside right here. It's like, this was a mistake. So he puts his hat on, and he goes into class, and his teacher's like, take off the hat. And he's like,
oh, no.
Yeah.
I ripped the hat off of his head before in front of the girl.
Oh.
Before he went into class.
Oh, before he went into class? Oh,
and then he put it back on his head and went back into class.
Okay, sorry. I didn't
so
mean to
anyways,
ruin
the girl.
So you ripped off the hat, and he's like,
behind him, ripped off the hat, and he was like, ah! Or no, she was like, ah! And he was like, oh, and he put the hat back on, and she's like,
screamed.
Do you have cancer? She's all worried about him, like, oh. Yeah, it was pretty entertaining. And then the teacher made him take his hat off, and the whole class laughed at him. Because
he's in his classroom, and he's like, she's like, take off the hat, and he's like, promise not to laugh.
I don't think he said that.
Yeah.
He exaggerates
and then he takes off the hat, and then the teacher's like laughing.
Yeah, she did not say promise not to laugh. He changes his story.
So Ryan's big fish, huh?
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's gotten more elaborate over the years.
But it's such a good story.
It's funny. We all just kind of go, okay, I guess this is how he likes to tell stories. It's okay.
Hey, there's been stories he's told, and I was there, and he didn't exaggerate at all. So I know when he's telling the truth.
At least with those stories, but hey, back in the day, I was there.
You weren't in his class.
No, but he used to tell it differently.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
Gotcha. I love Ryan's stories. They're so enjoyable.
There's this one story that Ryan tells that I'm like, Ryan, you got that out of a movie you don't even remember. It bothers me, but I'm like, whatever. He's telling this story. I painted his toenails at night with Jennifer on the night before April Fool's.
Right.
And in the morning, he put socks on. So many hours later, it definitely was dry. Definitely. There's no way it would have been wet still.
In his story, his toenails were stuck to the socks, and so
when
it was
he
like
pulled the socks up. But there is a movie that came out around that exact time called what is it? It's a Disney Channel movie, and it's this girl that's put super glue in her nail polish. She puts super glue in her nail polish, and that happens. And I have tried to tell Ryan, no, you got that out of that movie. But it has become part of the story. And he's like, no, this is part of my story. Let me know. So I don't correct. I've learned not to correct the stories
whether really happy
anymore.
or not, I love his stories anyway.
Sure. That was a sweet sound. Are you wanting to be part of the podcast too? He's eating right now. She's feeding
Max at the same time as recording. That's a super mom right there.
Yes, it is.
So tell us about kissing tag.
Kissing tag. So that's a good story. He keeps hitting the mic and pulling it away from my face. Kissing tag. So I knew I probably wasn't supposed to play kissing tag, I was curious and I wanted to actually play, even though my mom was like, you shouldn't play kissing tag. That's not a good idea. So one day the boys running all around saying, who wants to play kissing tag? And all these people were like, I do. And I was like, I do. Even though I probably should have said no. I was 7. And anyways, I did not know I was going to do this, but the boy ran up and gave me a kiss on the cheek, and my instant reaction was to push him on the ground and kick him in the stomach after he gave me a kiss on the cheek. He started crying, and I was like, even saying this now, I'm like, wow, that was a really horrible move. Like, why did I do that?
I want to play kissing tag.
But it was like, I think I got scared of getting kissed, and I got embarrassed that I said yes, or that I would play. And so through scared and embarrassment, I just reacted really horribly, and I kicked him in the stomach and pushed him on the ground. And he's
like, I'm never playing with you again.
He was just crying, and the teacher was like, what's wrong? And he's like, she kicked me in the stomach. And I was like, he kissed me. And then I think I felt horrible. I remember walking home thinking, Mom's gonna kill me. And I walked slowly that day, and I was like, oh, I've never gotten in such big trouble before. This is gonna be so bad. And I went home and I told her, and she's just like, okay, like no big deal at all.
It's like, my girl can fend for herself.
She's probably proud of me.
She's a tough girl.
I probably left out the part about me saying I wanted to be in the game.
Oh, guarantee you left that part out.
He just came up and kissed me. Max is all smiles. So, anyways, that's my kissing tag story from when you were a kid.
Elementary school, right around the same age, you wanted to be popular too, didn't you?
I did. I wanted to be popular really bad, so I was trying to figure out how to do that. Just saying that out loud sounds so funny, but we all do it.
I know.
We all do it. So I want to be popular. So how do I do that?
I don't remember wanting to be popular in school.
Really?
Well, I don't remember knowing who the popular kids were. I think everybody just had their friend groups, and that was that.
Oh, I just remember thinking, I don't know. I just was like, I want all the people to like me. That's what I wanted.
Do you remember what grade it was in that you were like,
that was in 2nd grade, 3rd grade,
wow.
4th, yeah.
All right.
So in 2nd grade, I was like, well, I think I know what to do. And so all these boys, there was like this, there was this group of super cowboy boys that were around in my class.
In 2nd grade?
Yeah. And they were, it might have been, yeah, I think it was 2nd grade. And they were like, all I remember is that he wore cowboy boots. He had holes in his knees. Like
in his jeans?
In his jeans. And he had his friends that all were around him all the time. And I remember they called dollars bucks. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. I want to be popular like them. So I was like, okay, I know what to do. So I went home and I got like my brother's clothes. And I wore holes in my knees, and I got some cowboy boots, and I was like, I'm going to dress like boys. So I dressed like a boy, and I went to school, and I was walking around saying, bucks! Instead of dollars. And I got them all to be my friend, and then something happened, and I was like, I don't want to be your friend anymore! And they were like, we didn't want to be your friend anyway! So I wasn't part of their group anymore. That lasted like a day. Or 2. So
I'm glad you didn't punch me in the face when I kissed you for the first time. Well, I asked
You're
for permission.
Lucky.
But I guess that kid kind of did too.
If you would have tried any sooner than you did, I probably would have.
You're a dangerous woman.
What were you saying before that?
You want to be popular? Is that the end of your...
that was my the only other thing that I can remember is like I loved that school. It was so fun. We had a lot of we had an indoor parachute thingy that we would all run underneath, and we had
okay. So that like a big blanket, like a sheet?
Yeah, but it was like rainbow colored, and it would make a half circle when you kind of inflated it.
Yeah.
They would have all the kids around the outside edge, and they'd say like, all the kids with blonde hair, run in and then run out, so we'd be like, ah! Run in and then run out onto the other side and grab hold, or like all the kids with brown eyes or whatever. It was fun.
I remember you told me that when you were in elementary school, you had recess.
Oh, yeah.
I never had recess my entire public school experience that I can even remember.
Are you kidding me?
3rd and 4th grade, never once had recess.
What?
We had PE. That was the only outside experience.
What?
We had no recess.
That is so different from Utah. I can tell you, we would have one class in the morning, then we would have recess.
I remember watching
then we would have another class, then we would have recess, then we would have another class, then lunch, then recess, then another class, and then we would go home.
Spoiled?
We had so much recess.
I remember watching the cartoon Recess and thinking, what is this recess thing people keep talking about?
What?
We never had that.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I can't believe you didn't. Now I want to give you recess. Go take recess right now. Go to recess.
I don't know why. We just worked.
It was so much fun.
We were always working.
That is so weird.
I remember saying the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem every morning.
Yeah, we did that every single morning too. Yeah, we did that. Not the national anthem, but we did the
I remember
Pledge of Allegiance every morning.
A Pledge of Allegiance, and then we also had a movie play, and it would sing the national anthem.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Every day.
Wow. It's interesting the differences. Michael's family, they since he was there, some of them went back to public school. Yeah. And one of them, his sister Jessica, was there, and they had a shooting at the school, and it wasn't even on the news, like the big news. It was on just
I don't remember
local news. That. Yeah, she had a shooting, and she was like, yeah, it's like the second time it's happened this year. And she's like, the school's on lockdown for a little while, but then they figured it out or whatever.
It was like kind of a normal thing.
Yeah. So weird.
That's freaky.
It's just normal or whatever. I was like, yeah, not normal actually.
Just one
Utah's much better than Florida when it comes to schools and hospitals, I'm telling you.
That's true.
That is true.
Personal experience.
Yep. So, there's only one other time that made me feel really sad, and it was when this group of girls, this 2 girls, I was like, oh, they're best friends. I want to be best friends with them. And they were like, no, we're having a club, and you're not part of our club. And I was like, I want to be part of your club. Anything that I was left out of, I just felt like that was the only thing I wanted in my life, So I just tried to be part of their club, but they wouldn't let me be part of their club. And I was really upset about it.
You want to be part of my club?
I remember her name was Crystal, I think.
You can be part of my club.
I am part of your club. All of our kids can be part of our club, too.
You're the best part of our club, actually.
And you guys can be part of our club, too.
Yeah.
If you subscribe.
Well, I remember Walt Disney said he created Disney World because he wanted a club that everybody could go to. And everybody felt welcome. That's
cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, we've created channels that everybody can go to and feel welcome.
Be part of our club.
Be part of our club.
That's right. But you definitely want in a lot more when it's exclusive.
Oh, totally.
Like, no, you cannot be part of our club.
I want to be part.
Like, no, but I have to now.
Now that you said I can't, that's all I want in my life. So.
Did you do anything you feel ashamed of to try to get to be popular?
I did later.
Okay.
When I was 12, I did. And that is where, and it's not like ashamed. Should I talk about it now or later?
Are you planning on talking about it later, or should you? Is it?
I'll just talk about it now because
we're
thinking about it. So, actually, my parents went through a bankruptcy, and then we ended up having to move from Spanish Fork, and we moved into a house in Fountain Green, Utah, tiny town, and went to school there for a couple of years. But after that, so it was nice actually at that time to get a reset every now and then and move. I was kind of used to it and comfortable with it, and I was like, okay. When we moved from Spanish Fork and I wanted to be popular, I tried to join the boys group and that didn't work. Then I went to our new school in Fountain Green, and it was just really small. I didn't really think about being popular. It wasn't a priority or anything. And then when I was 12, we moved to Mount Pleasant, Utah. And I was like, I want to be popular. And that was like my only goal. That was the only thing I wanted. I was like, cute. I'm going to make sure that I'm popular now because that's what I care about. Oh, man. I'm glad I did this when I was younger, though, and learned a lot of lessons from it. Because if I would have tried to do that in high school, I think it would have really messed a lot of things up, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's like sometimes I'm just grateful that I learned these lessons sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
So anyways, I tried to become popular, and I basically looked at all the people at the school, and I noticed there were two groups. One was kind of more preppy, and the other one was like rebel popular. And I joined the rebel popular people. I was like, I want to be popular. And they didn't like each other. Like there was just these two main groups of girls.
Was this in middle school?
Elementary school still.
Well, at 12 years old?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
It was 6th grade.
That's elementary?
Yeah. It changes. Even in Utah, that's like varying.
That's so weird.
I know.
Anyway.
So, it was from 11 to 12 in that year. And I was like, hey, I'm going to go with these people because I think they're cooler. They're more down to earth and whatever. So, but they were kind of rebellious. And a lot of them actually ended up like getting pregnant before they left high school and like talking about that stuff when I was 12.
Getting pregnant before they left elementary school is what I thought. I was like,
no, high school. Okay. They got pregnant in high school. And I mean, that
so they started on this path in elementary school.
They did. And that's where I was like gonna go.
Right.
Because I was friends with all of them.
Yeah.
But I just started to see, like, I was hanging out with them. I was doing the things they were doing. I was saying the things they were saying. And I just started to see myself becoming someone who I did not want to be.
Yeah.
I was like, in fact, every now and then I'd be like, oh, don't swear or whatever. And they'd be like, ha ha ha, like it was funny. And they would just do a lot of things. It was a lot of things that all added up that I was like, it made me question, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
What's my priority here? Do I really want to be popular that bad that it's going to completely change who I am?
Right.
And I was like, no. I eventually came to the conclusion that is not who I want to be. And I'm doing things I shouldn't be doing. I mean, not really doing things I shouldn't be doing, but hanging around other people that were.
Yeah.
So I was starting to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. And
I was thinking, and it wasn't a matter of, you're not good enough for me, I'm not going to do that. It was a matter of, I don't want to be that. I feel like that's not me. So I just started to gradually stop hanging out with them after a while, and it was a very good decision. I think even some of them are doing drugs and just having a hard life. It's a hard life, but
they chose that through.
Yeah, but they also had. It wasn't even. I would say that the families that they were born into, even it started there. You know, like just different circumstances, different examples that they had. So I don't blame them. You know,
sure.
And I don't blame me. I think it's just the same when you start. You can still respect someone. You can still be around them. You can still be nice to people, even if you don't agree with them. And that's how it ended up being. I never was mean to them. I just was like, I don't want to do that anymore. So I just kind of stopped playing with them at recess. And it was a good decision. I truly feel like Heavenly Father has watched out for me all the way throughout my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
even if it's just little prayers here and there that I'm like, please help me to know what to do. And then I get an answer and I just am like, okay, I can't go wrong. I literally can't go wrong if I just do what he says.
Mm-hmm.
And even when it seems like everything is going wrong or I'm going wrong, in the end it ends up working out. And it was for a good reason. And there was a legitimate reason or lesson I had to learn or something. There's always a reason. So anyways.
You're awesome. I love you.
I love you too.
Thanks for sharing those stories.
Thanks for sharing yours.
I think that's it for today's episode of Beach Theory.
Yep.
Let us know if you guys ever have any questions or if there's any topics you want us to talk about. We definitely want to get your questions, and we're going to do podcasts dedicated to Q&A and answering questions from you guys. Yeah. So send those through comments, through
messages. And if you're
messages.
In school right now, not that I don't know if any kids listen to this podcast, but if you are, think twice about who you hang out with, I think, because that does make a huge impact on who you become as a person.
Yep.
And it's so funny. Even now I'm like, I don't even think of popularity as part of my life. And yet we are, if you look at it in a worldly way, you know, like, because we have so many subscribers, I think some people would say, oh, that's popular. You're popular, you know. But I just don't really care that much.
We're not doing this because we want to be popular.
We're doing it to make a living for our family. We're doing
something that we enjoy.
We're doing it to share our beliefs. We're doing it to do something that we enjoy. To
hopefully inspire and educate and help other people learn.
Yeah.
Things that
and
we've
we're
learned.
doing it because we like creating. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's our passion. So, in fact, I have thought, oh, you know, YouTube gets hard sometimes. Maybe we should just stop. And it made me so sad because I was thinking, I naturally throughout the day will be like, oh, I'm inspired to make a video about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can make this video. You know, like all day long. That's how I think now. And we've kind of ingrained it into how we just do life. Mm-hmm. So it would be very weird to not create somehow like that. Anyways.
You're an inspiration.
Aw, thanks.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into Beach Theory. We love you guys so much. And we've got more fun from season 2 of our childhood and growing up years coming every week moving forward. So stay tuned.
All right.
Beach Theory
out.
Out.